And otherwise, just now we're back to work, and we're going to be grinding from now until hopefully February. But it's good to be here and just have this time right now, a little more of a walkthrough emphasis, slower tempo, get back into football mode, and just building a rapport with teammates and kind of laying the initial foundation for this 2019 season. So, here we go. No looking back and full speed ahead. Well, it's great. We just had a protection walkthrough for about 20 minutes that I thought was very productive, and we covered things we hadn't covered before, and I think that in and of itself is worth being here. So we'll get basically 3 days of that, and hopefully come out the other side, with just even more of a foundation from which we can work, and then. The vets get here, the defense gets here, we start going full speed, and we'll be glad we had this time on task right now to be able to play at a high level when it's full go. Yeah, I'm always in a learning mode. I don't know that it's a teaching mode. I think, I'm going to communicate, try to, encourage a guy, you know, when I feel like he's doing something right, and coach him when I feel like he's doing something wrong. But we have so many coaches. We got a lot of voices out there telling these guys what to do. So if anything, I just want to be an encourager and affirm them when they're doing things the right way, and ask questions too. A lot of times I can learn from even these younger guys as to what they're seeing or what their issue is, and um, it's good to get to know these guys. Unfortunately, with the way the NFL works, you bring in so many players and you only keep 53, but many of them, even if they're released, could be back on the practice squad. They could be back mid-season when you have injuries and there's some attrition, and so building a rapport with even these younger players who have only been here for a short amount of time, it can come back to help you later in the year when things inevitably change. Well, you listen to all of them, right? And they're all on the same page. They have staff meetings, and it's one voice. I'm not concerned about it being multiple messages, but I have an abundance of resources when it comes to picking Coach Zimmer's brain during the walkthrough, or talking to Kevin, talking to Clint, Gary. Even, I mean, as a quarterback, you really want to be very connected with the offensive line coach, and so Coach Dennison and AJ. I mean, there's no end. And Coach Petzing, as a receiver coach, you're always trying to understand, hey, what are you telling these guys, and what are they hearing from you? So we got a lot of staff, and that's a good thing. It's great to have that much support and that many good football minds, contributing to our plan. He's very mature. Just talking to him in the locker room, I just feel like I'm not talking to someone who's right out of college. I feel like I'm talking to someone who's about my age, and um, I think that makes it a little easier to just be on the same page and work together. Um, I think there's inevitably you go against a guy like Aaron Donald, and it's like, I wasn't blocking a lot of these guys in the ACC occasionally, but not a lot. And so there's always those wake up call moments in your rookie year. But I'm excited for the player he can be, and I know the coaches are, and I think he's picked up things pretty quickly for how much we've thrown at him, and he's handled it with a calm and a coolness about him that is also great to see. So that's been real positive. And I had that same bucket hat. I like that bucket hat. I wear that at my football camps, and it's a good hat. Yes. Yes. Many of them were brought in undrafted because they have a specific trait that they can bring to the table. And so we want to understand what that is and accentuate it. If a guy can roll, if he's a 4-3 guy, and maybe, yeah, there's some limitations in some other parts of playing the receiver position, but he's a 4-3 guy, well, let's get him in our deep routes and let's give him a chance to get behind safeties and launch. And so learning those players' strengths and then working them in the progression when hey, this play gives them a chance to put something, to put a show on. And then also understand, hey, this route isn't his sweet spot. So let's talk about, working elsewhere. That's why understanding personnel is really important. And that's certainly a point of emphasis, especially with these younger players who many of them have a specific trait as to why they're here. And we're trying to see if that trait can really help us. approaching it differently from a standpoint of, am I approaching it different in any way? I'm sure there are some differences, being that every year you pick something up new. But um, uh, I think what will never change is, getting up in the morning, being attentive, taking notes. Even plays like drive scissors that I've installed for now 8 years. When drive scissors gets up on the board, I'm taking notes like it's my first time learning it, because that's just the way you go about your business. So that'll always be the same. Um, I'm sure with it being my second year here, my 8th year in the league, you just continue to evolve as a player and ask different questions and have more authority or assert yourself more. But uh, probably more similar than different. And ultimately, we are going to be evaluated on things far from training camp. It's going to come down to those 16 regular season games and then beyond that. And unfortunately, you grind in training camp and you get to Labor Day weekend and you look around and you're like, all that work and I got nothing to show for it yet. Hopefully you lay in a good foundation and then hopefully it shows on Sundays in the fall. But the nature of this next month and a half is, whether it's really good or really bad, it really isn't what the narrative becomes on you. You have to translate that into a really good season. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's a balance. I've learned that for me, because it is, like I said, 6 weeks here where you're really in it from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed. And then you finish that and you say, oh, wait a minute, we still have a whole season to play. I like to pace myself in the summer. And so even my training, I try to get a little creative and do some other things like playing tennis and, just things where I can still get a sweat and work on agility, but also not constantly, doing the same drops and the same footwork over and over and over. But there's still a big component of that. And then I had the youth football camps I do, and some time with family, a little bit of travel. It's my 5-year anniversary, so my wife made sure we got away up to northern Michigan for that. So you got a variety of things you do, and just try to enjoy it all, and then hit the ground running when you get back here. I just wanted to make it simple for the guys. So Chad Beebe and Tyler Conklin were kind of in the area. Laquan Treadwell as well. They're all kind of within a 2 to 3 hour drive of where I am. So I said, hey, why don't you guys come up? We'll throw a little bit, connect. But I wasn't going to ask anybody to get on a plane and come fly there, just because the summer weeks are so precious and guys want to be with their families. And if I did say, hey, come here, they would be there. But I wanted to be able to enjoy that time with their families. And we have a lot of time here to get together. So just because they were a short drive, I thought it was worth it maybe. Yeah,